From the Middle is proudly a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 197 of From the Middle, a comedy, culture, entertainment, and interview style podcast hosted by three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view that generally fall somewhere in the middle. In this week's episode, we talk about a whole bunch of things. I don't even know where to start, quite frankly. We do a little bit of a taste test. Oh, by the way, the first couple minutes of the episode, we had a little recording thing. The audio quality in the first few minutes might not be good. Hang in there. We got the backup recording. That'll kick in. It'll all be good. So just get past the first little bit. Anyway, so we do some taste testing of some crazy chips and horrific pop or soda, as some of you call it. We talk about the gig economy and how that's still crazy to me. Dylan is shattered. Something really dramatic happened in his neighborhood, and you need to hear about it. We talk about some meaningful stuff, a little bit of Dylan and I's roots in small town USA, and then we wrap up with a lovely round of some of the things that we're streaming. So we hope you enjoy the episode.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
Wow. Oh, that cherry is wild. They're right.
Whoa! Keep your cherry in its can.
Whatever happened? What wild cherry? I don't understand wild cherry. Why not just cherry?
I don't know. Because they knew something was off about the flavor, and they couldn't explain it. And they're like, we can't just call this cherry.
It's wild.
We got to call it something. We need a name to describe, like, we could call it spiked cherry, but then people think there's alcohol. No.
Yeah.
So we want wild. It's like a wild cherry.
Why don't they do wild grape flavored sodas?
I like grape soda.
I think it's a certain kind of cherry.
You think it's a certain kind of cherry?
You think it's literally wild as opposed to
I can go
tamed?
to the market right now and buy a wild cherry and sample it?
No, I think wild cherry is a different offshoot of regular cherry.
I don't.
You think so?
I don't think so,
They
Tim.
don't have a regular cherry soda.
No, I mean the plant.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Can I go to the supermarket right now and buy a wild cherry and pop wild cherry in my mouth?
I think you can.
Really?
I don't think
It's okay. Here it is.
Are you looking?
Wild cherry is a common name for species of cherries growing outside of cultivation.
Oh, okay.
Especially Prunus avium, commonly known as wild cherry in the British Isles.
You just made that up.
Prunus serratina, commonly known as wild cherry in North America. Or Prunus cerasus, also called sour cherry or tart cherry.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not growing it in cultivation.
Okay.
So
They're not farmed cherries.
Yeah. So Pepsi and Coke, they're not I think Coke is just using the word cherry. Pepsi's using wild cherry.
You get a lot of black cherry with things too.
You do. But Pepsi is using a more exotic type of cherry flavor profile than Coke is, apparently.
And a maraschino cherry is preserved with sweetener.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, those are the good ones.
Yes.
Those, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Find jars of those in the pantry and just pop them like M&Ms. Oh, so good. What's up, guys?
Oh, I don't know. What's up with you?
Are you doing an accent?
I'm kind of
Sounded Amish.
It sounded like you started to do one.
It was a lot of different accents all tied up into one.
Is it the shirt?
Is it the shirt?
Yeah, it kind of gave you
maybe like a flannel shirt.
Yeah.
A flannel shirt. I don't know, I've been wearing flannel shirts all winter, but I haven't been talking like that all winter. I don't know where that came from.
Maybe you have it home. Maybe this is your podcast voice.
Maybe. I was channeling some kind of northerner, like a great white northerner of some sort, possibly an upper peninsular from Michigan. They kind of like their O's like that, kind of like Wisconsin-ish.
Okay.
But it's a Wisconsin / Canadian accent that they kind of have procured in that area of our great country. I've got a lot of family up there.
Do you now?
Up there, I do. But
and it's like it's an amalgam of accents. Mm-hmm. So no one can critique you too harshly on any one region.
Yeah,
I'm just a mashup.
There's like thick Midwest accent. There's Canadian accent. There's Finnish accent in that area. All mixed together. Sometimes it's hard to understand what people are talking about when you're up there.
Love it.
So
sounds like a really rebellious part of the country.
Well, maybe. There's like Finnish settlements up there. Did you know that? Like legit, like Finnish speaking places up there. There's churches that are in Finnish up there and so forth, and things that are printed in Finnish and whatnot.
I had no idea.
I would assume that has somewhat abated, but I'm sure it's still there. It was still there when I was a kid and we would visit. So,
no idea.
Little pockets of culture.
Yeah, little pockets of Helsinki up there.
I love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
You guys,
Hey, I brought some crap to taste test.
that used to make it sound so wonderful.
If you guys want to try it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We have to. There's drinks in the fridge,
Okay.
and then we've got Asian chippies from Mexico. No, Asian chippies from PepsiCo. Yeah, that's right. So this is Lay's, right?
Okay.
And we have 3 flavors.
All right.
And I'll say the flavors.
I'm
Do you
sorry.
want to get the drinks?
This is the trigger warning for all of those with misophonia.
Yeah.
Both, all 3 things. Dylan's breathing into the mic, the bag crackling sound, and also the inevitable chomping of chips that will be
What's about to happen
in moments. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the breathing just started out as a total accident. Now it's intentionally to annoy people. So that's great. The first one, possibly the least offensive, and I think this is some kind of Asian writing for Lay's chips since it's from PepsiCo. Nori seaweed is the first flavor.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
We're going to have spicy lobster is here in bag
Fun.
2, and hot chili squid in bag 3.
Where did these come from?
Asia somewhere.
No, where did you go to Asia?
No, I went to Jungle Jim's in Cincinnati.
Jim,
And we haven't had a chance to get together. And then we have a nice, refreshing drink in the fridge. I'm kind of stuck back here, so if Corey wants to grab the drinks or something.
Yeah,
we
I'm
can.
in the middle also.
And in the middle, some very nice, refreshing, authentic, natural flavored drinks. We can try. Ooh,
Somebody's going to do the chips while I get the...
do the thing. Okay. Lost headphones.
Jeez, goodness
Okay,
gracious.
Kendall, keep talking for a minute.
I'll keep talking for a minute. So our friend Jim from Cincinnati went to Asia to pick up some chips for us that we're going to eat. I'll keep talking about the Upper Peninsula of Michigan if you want while we're getting things together. Did you know that I went trick-or-treating up there one time in the snow? That's true. That's very true. Let me dump some of these chips out here. Oh, no. People have to shovel off their roofs. Up there. You know what? I went fishing today. I bet you that's where, when I think of like, oh my gosh, when I think of Northerners, I think of like good root of the earth. That's not the terminology.
Salt of the earth?
Thank you, Corey. Salt of the earth people who do a lot of hunting and fishing and that kind of thing. So when I go fishing, I feel like I'm in the UP, even if I'm at like a local park. But anyway,
For the drink,
Yeah.
Also from Pepsi, Peeps flavored, artificial marshmallow flavored cola.
okay. So they take a. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're not mixing real marshmallows in there.
I think the weirdest thing, Kendall, I was grabbing some of these chips out of the bag to hand to you.
Yeah.
They didn't budge on the machine that compresses the chips into shape at all. They didn't say, well, maybe it's a different culture. Maybe we leave them more naturally flowy. Nope. They're like ruffled. They're like Pringles. They're like whatever else.
Well, yeah, they probably didn't like build new machines to build chips for
Or
these.
just let them go. Let them flow. Natural. What is that? What does a natural chip look like?
I don't know.
I'm gonna try hot chili squid.
Which one is that? Is that the Pringles looking one?
Ruffled.
The ruffled one. All right, we'll start there. I don't know if I'm getting much squid in there.
Yeah, I mean, of all the hundreds of types of squid that I've tried, this is pretty mild.
So is hot chili the type of squid too now? Mm-hmm. Go fishing for hot chili squid?
You get the chili on the front end, and then you get a little seafood flavor on the back end,
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. If you eat more than one at a time,
which I just did.
you notice it more. Yeah. It's almost like initially like they very lightly brushed sweet and sour sauce on them.
Sure.
That's interesting.
It is.
I could pound that whole bag easily.
Yeah, I do. I do taste the sweetness. The sweetness came eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, or just eat them. Yeah, you wouldn't even have to pound them. You could just eat them if you wanted.
Heyo.
Oh god.
All right, so we're going to go with the
There's
Pringles.
kids in the other room.
No, let's do this one. We're going to do the ones with the green
Yeah, we
flakes
got to neutralize with the.
Yeah.
with the nori seaweed.
Yeah, they look like sour cream and onion. That's what's going on in my head.
So many sounds.
Man, that Pepsi is weird. That Peeps. I don't. Oh. Maybe it's because I just had squid with Pepsi. It's just extra sweet Pepsi. Like extra sweet Pepsi.
Oh, that is off. I
It's-
don't like the chips are okay. Oddly enough, it's the Pepsi that I'm having a problem with. Seaweed chips, fine with me.
Yep, tastes like the outside of sushi.
Wow, that's surprisingly close.
Good job, Lays.
Yeah, I'm impressed by that.
Okay.
Let's polish it off with the spicy lobster.
I'm looking forward to this one.
It's funny that you said the most offensive thing so far has been the Peeps and Pepsi collab.
Yeah, that's true. These are far less, I don't want to say offensive. I mean, I expected them to still taste good, but these are far less drastic of a flavor than the Peeps.
Yes.
Kind of like the shrimp chips that we did from Costco, actually.
Yeah.
Texture of Pringles.
Yeah, totally.
Not spicy,
Not at all.
barely lobster.
Interesting.
All of those I would just eat with a sandwich, no problem. They're not weird, really.
No. I wouldn't think much of them if somebody just gave them to me, didn't tell me what they were. Just like, oh, some kind of flavored chip. I don't know what that is, but okay.
You know,
What was that?
I don't know which one I would have thought would have been my favorite, but I think it's the seaweed, actually. That's
I
pretty
think the
good.
seaweed's my favorite too.
I'm going with the this one, hot chili squid.
Hot chili squid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, lesson learned. If you see some crazy looking Lay's chips, don't be afraid. Fear not.
Yeah, they're not as crazy as
Not as, no.
crazy. Guys, the most offensive thing on this table is definitely the Pepsi.
The Pepsi Peeps.
Pepsi times Peeps. It
is definitely the worst.
is a cacophony of flavors.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Pepsi plus Peeps.
It's like somebody took a bunch of random candies and just blended them up right into a Pepsi, and you can't quite ID it. Maybe like the conversation hearts or something.
Yeah.
Like somebody took those and blended them into a Pepsi.
But there's a very specific like icing. I'm getting an icing taste. Like icing from
Yeah, that's pretty offensive. I'm gonna get some seaweed
That's
chips.
so offensive. I do not.
Oy.
And then you don't. What's that
It's not
back
really-
end? What's the flavor? That's not a marshmallowy.
I don't know. See, I don't like Peeps, but I
Yeah.
don't think that that's a flavor thing necessarily. I think that's a
And the seaweed chips
Mouthfeel.
just come in and mellow it all out.
exactly yeah. I think if Pepsi made a wild Peeps flavor, that would probably taste better.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
The ones at home are too sugared
These
up.
aren't your run of the mill marshmallow chickens. Well, thanks for that adventure into the Jungle Jim's offerings. That was thoughtful of you to do that. I feel really bad now that when I was in that candy shop in Maumee that I didn't get those crazy flavored pops.
Yeah, this was just a big guilt trip. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm serious. Like that would have been fun, like dirt and barf and super hot sauce and bacon flavored pop and all the different things. That would have been a fun adventure.
Yeah, Jungle Jim's has lots of soda, but selfishly, the 4 or 5 that I bought, I just wanted to keep to myself. So
There you go.
We could probably just order some of the crazy pops.
sure.
Speaking of ordering food, I have to tell you guys a story from a couple weeks ago when I was on a work trip, and I sent you the picture of my receipt. The gig economy is still crazy to me. Mm-hmm. The fact that random human beings will run errands for you is crazy still. And we've been and pick you up at an airport and take you somewhere and go and get you groceries. The fact that people are willing to do that is crazy. And the fact that you can do that is crazy.
Word.
So Alaska Airlines has one direct flight from Columbus to Seattle. I think it leaves around 6 p.m. Eastern time, and you arrive in Seattle at around 8:30 Pacific time. So I'm on that flight. I get out to Seattle. It's a Sunday. I get to my hotel, which is in downtown Seattle, and not a lot is open at 9 p.m. on a Sunday in a downtown area because people, mostly commute into town. I feel like Columbus. If you drive through downtown Columbus on a Sunday evening, other than the occasional show or comedian or whatever, there's not much going on downtown.
Right.
So this was the case. I had skipped dinner. I had lunch at lunchtime Eastern time, which means I'm now like really hungry. And I'm looking for places that will deliver. I don't have many options. So I go into the Postmates app, and you can search by a couple different criteria, one of which is like how fast will it get to you? How close is it currently to you? What's the most popular? Whatever, right? So I think I just looked up what will get to me the fastest. And it was Taco Bell. And I was so hungry, and I love Taco Bell. So I'm like, I'm great with that.
Yeah.
Put 5 items in the cart, 5 food items, and a Mountain Dew. First of all, like the price of one, I think I sent you guys the picture. I don't know.
Yeah,
You did.
Like one taco was like $4 and change because there's a surcharge because of the fact that it's in a delivery app, and then you're going to pay $67.26 for 5 items and a Mountain Dew
For one person.
At Taco Bell. So then after I've completed the order, I'm like, I feel bad, and this isn't the most frugal choice, but I don't have any options, and I'm really, really hungry. So then I look, the guy, Coty with a T,
Coty?
yeah, was about 20 blocks away, and I don't know if all the Postmates people have the same icon, but it showed him on a little bicycle icon, and it was pouring down rain.
Oh, jeez.
So now I'm like, just because I push some buttons on my phone, a human being is riding their bike to a Taco Bell over 20 blocks to bring me food. And I felt guilty using an app that's exactly what it's for.
Right.
Is this crazy to you guys? Like,
Isn't it a thing that if like nobody's around, they get or won't pick it up, like they'll pay extra, the app will pay extra to the driver to like nudge people to go get it?
yeah, because
it
had been accepted by one guy and he declined it, and Coty picked it up.
Yeah, so that's probably, I mean, I guess that's doing what it's supposed to do. If the normal, hey, you're gonna make $5 off this order goes to 10. Or I don't know the numbers, but like, okay. I mean,
Coty could have said no, right?
Yeah, for sure. And there's a delivery, like a processing fee, the delivery charge. Then I tipped on top of that because I'm like, this guy's riding his bike in the rain 20 blocks to bring me 5 Taco Bell items.
Yeah.
$67.26.
I get it. We all of us were sick a couple weeks ago, and we did Five Guys kind of sounded good. And so I did a double burger. I got 2 single burgers for Bree and Finn, 1 large fry for all 3 of us. And Bree got a shake. And with tip and everything, it was like $62 or something.
Yeah.
Five Guys ain't cheap when you show up there.
I know, but that felt like double what the price should have been.
Yeah.
Like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I used to go there when they first opened up around here, and I'd get a burger and a small fry and a drink for $10 or $12 or whatever. It's got to be close to 20 now.
Yeah.
But forget the prices for a sec. Do you know anybody that does that? Like, I've got a nephew who's a Door Dasher, and he loves it. It's just whatever town he happens to find himself in, he's a registered delivery person, and he clocks in whenever he wants. And
I have a brother-in-law who Door Dashes sometimes, but I think it's just because he gets bored. I mean, he certainly doesn't need the money.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but
I think you've hit the nail on the head. The convenience of I flip on the switch to my business whenever I want, and I flip it off whenever I'm done. And there's no, you've got an 8-hour shift, 10-hour shift, 12-hour shift. It's, I'm tired of this. I want to go home now. Lights out. See ya. And I think that's it. I mean, that's got to be it, right? I mean, sure, they're making money, but you don't have to. I mean, some people kind of play the peak surge pricing. You know, they don't do it very often, but they'll do it on the day of an Ohio State game, and they're like, all right, I'm just going to be driving from 6 a.m. to 4 a.m. Sunday, and I'm going to be basically 24 hours of driving, but I'm going to make a crazy amount of money.
Buttload of money.
Yeah.
And then the grocery ones where they'll go to the grocery store for you, but if they don't have the item you've requested, now they have to be calling or texting you and go, hey, they don't have this. What do you want instead? And then it's still crazy to me. I'm like all for it. Like, it's certainly disrupted, those businesses, and it's working, and the people doing it know what they're getting into. It's just crazy to me that on demand, I can just have a human being get me NyQuil and bring it wherever I happen to find myself.
Yeah. There's part of me that thinks that, like, this is something that has shown up in the middle class, and it's something that was there already. Like, the basic infrastructure and everything was there, and it was already operational before COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, the middle class started actually using it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
On a larger scale. And I don't know.
It hit critical mass because there was a forcing function.
I wouldn't say, I mean, I don't think any of it got cheaper. It's just the psychology of it. Now that you've done it, you did it once or twice because you had to. And now you realize I can afford to do this sometimes. Before, it was just like, for me, like a pie in the sky.
Yeah,
like,
isn't it crazy?
Rich people send people to get their groceries for them. That's not something that like people like me do.
Right.
And then now all of a sudden it's something that people like me do. And
yeah, that was my second time using Postmates in 10 years. Now, we still order pizzas. We still, get carry out. But like, to just go into an app if you're sitting on your couch or in your hotel room going, I'm hungo.
Yeah.
And disclaimer, every business will tell you it's better to order directly from them and use their delivery service than a mobile app. So like, for all the businesses out there, try to do that first. But
good shout.
I do think it's interesting how little people noticed or care, I guess, the upcharges on individual items off of the menu as well. So they're not just making money off of the tip and the delivery fee and the fee. Like, things are noticeably more expensive. Yeah. Some things that should be free cost money. Some things that cost something cost noticeably more. And they know which items sell the most and can keep running up the price on those items. And so it's really interesting how some things are really subtle differences in price, so you don't notice it.
Here, I pulled it up it's a great point. Soft Taco Supreme. You worked at Taco Bell. What's that?
I mean, that should be like $1.99 at most.
$4.79.
There you go.
Medium beverage,
Now that's Ohio pricing. Maybe Seattle is more.
Okay, fine.
Medium drink, $1.99.
$4.31. Bean burrito. You know the price of this.
99 cents here, $1.49, something like that.
$7.19. Quesadilla.
Yeah, those are expensive. Those are like $4 now.
$11.99.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Cheesy gordita crunch.
Cheesy gordita crunch. That's probably like $4.50.
$9.59. Okay, tax was $5.44. The service fee was $6.50. The delivery fee was $1.49, and then I tipped generously on
So
top.
almost everything there was double, at least. And that's not it's not Seattle minimum wage either. Minimum wage in those quantities doesn't affect pricing that much. When McDonald's in Europe, when those people make $25 an hour with 8 weeks of vacation, the cost of burgers goes up 30 cents. That's not that drastic. So it's not for the people like, Seattle's just expensive minimum wage.
No.
That's not it. That doesn't cost that much more at a taco. Maybe the real estate prices make the costs go up, but it's not the minimum wage. So that's fascinating that it was that much. So there you go.
Anyway, thought that was crazy.
Paying more for the items.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago, and I had to talk about it.
So call the always try to go to a restaurant's website first, because they might use their own. I noticed like Jersey Mike's in our area still uses DoorDash, but it's like a preset fee, and then the prices are the menu prices.
Oh,
So they just, if you're the DoorDasher, you just get probably a couple bucks flat at the end. And you don't get, DoorDash doesn't get all the extra money, but they use DoorDash drivers.
right.
So you're better off actually ordering directly from Jersey Mike's or wherever.
At what point, I mean, I don't know the business model, or how to crunch the numbers, but at what point do places that traditionally didn't have a delivery car just start hiring a delivery car? Like, you'd see a McDonald's arches on a Honda Civic
Yeah.
from 1989 just posted up outside of McDonald's like you do at pizza places.
Right.
Well, it already exists that there are pizza delivery robots that can drive down the sidewalk. That's already a thing. So how far are we really from a drone that would take off from a restaurant and drop a bag on your front porch and then fly back to the restaurant?
Yeah. I don't know.
Really? 5 years?
I mean, technology is there.
That's already available.
Technology has been there for a while. It's just legal red tape is.
Yeah,
is
you got
holding it
people
back in
shooting
there,
down
so-
drones that they see flying through their
Yeah, people
neighborhood.
shooting down drones. I don't know if there's an FAA issue there. And
Bean burritos fly everywhere.
Like the rings pop out of a bad guy in Sonic.
Yeah. Or self-driving cars could be doing that. And that was another one of the pizza things that you just walk out to the car. My point on that commercial was like, that's exactly why I'm delivering it. I don't want to walk out to the car. Even if it's at my curb, I don't want to walk out and get it.
Yeah.
But that was one of the self-driving cars for pizza. It like pushes it out the window. The window goes down.
Fling it to my door.
It's
or I don't
sitting
want it.
there. Yeah, exactly. Just chuck it up at the door.
Yeah.
It's got a launcher on it. It's like honing in like a
Yeah.
cannon of how far it needs to shoot it.
Leave it on the doorstep, ring the bell, and go away quick enough so that way I can get my pizza off of my stoop in a timely enough manner that it's still hot, but you don't see me in my underwear.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah.
That's
what I want.
I did feel gross doing it. I really did. I felt gross and guilty for Coty, for what I had done to Coty.
Cody could have said no.
Coty could have
That's the
said,
least. That's the least gross thing somebody has ever said at the end of a hotel story.
Yes. That is,
That you felt gross doing,
that is true.
And if you saw this hotel,
especially in Seattle.
if you saw this hotel, because I was trying to be frugal, a lot grosser things have happened.
Yeah,
And that
you felt bad because your company paid more for Taco Bell than it should
the
have.
walk of shame to the lobby to retrieve my Taco Bell for what I did. Okay, enough about that. What's up with y'all?
I'm shattered, honestly. Somebody already mowed their lawn in our neighborhood.
What? Why?
Too early.
Too early.
Come on now.
It's not even freaking April, and somebody has already mowed their lawn. And I was on the way here, and you know that big house on the way here on the right that's up on the hill. He had mowed in January. I'm not kidding. There must have been a couple warm enough days that guy mowed. But and then my wife texted me right when I pulled up, somebody else is mowing in the neighborhood. And I just, look, we're not in a rich neighborhood, but it's not a slummy neighborhood either. And I don't want to be the last person to mow my yard. And it is March. And I don't feel good about that at all. And what made me, the only thing that made me feel better was that on the way here, I noticed somebody had a red Santa sleigh decoration at the end of their driveway, and they had slapped some wood Easter bunny heads on it because they were too lazy to take it back to their garage.
I love it.
And I thought, at least I don't live by that person.
My Christmas lights are still up.
It's fine. I think ours were mid to late January before we took ours down. But I'm going to have to mow probably next week now. And I'm shattered. I'm very, very upset about it.
Or because it's your first spring, right?
Yep.
You could establish yourself as that guy early and just embrace it and give your passive aggressive middle finger to the people that care.
The other thing about our yard is our neighborhood is kind of hilly. And so some people get away with not mowing as often because it's not maybe facing night or light as often. Most of our yard is flat and facing the sun most of the day. So it grows pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so I like that about our yard in that it's mostly flat. But some of these people around have a lot more trees, or their yard is hilly or at an angle to the sun where they don't have to mow as often. And that is not my house. And so I'm very aware that if most or all of my neighbors have mowed, I should have mowed already because will be one of the worst.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think there's a limit to how much you can care about that in my opinion. I mean, our yard looks okay. We're not the best yard. We're not quite the worst. We're second to worst, I would say.
That's where you need to be.
We're squarely in second to worst on our street.
Yeah.
Was it late January, early Feb? We had like a 68-degree day.
Oh, yeah. That was
Yeah.
January, I think.
Okay, so in January, 2 houses down, new neighbors moved in.
Did you go mow a strip of grass?
I did not.
for 'em?
Shut your mouth. The day after their moving truck showed up, the wife was outside push mowing the grass. January.
No.
That was her first message to the neighborhood.
Man. I wonder if
That's a move.
One of those people think that they're being good neighbors.
Listen here, Interplanet Janet. All right.
Yeah.
That's not how it's going to go in our neighborhood. Okay.
That's right.
You need to slow your roll.
Goodness gracious.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Listen.
So glad that you're here. Please stop what you're doing.
We're not that kind of neighborhood. We're the kind of neighborhood that puts couches on the front lawn and then another neighbor picks it up and puts it in their house for a while before they put it on their front lawn because someone got pissed. And then another neighbor's going to come pick it up. That's the kind of neighborhood we are.
That's right.
All right?
Don't you forget it.
We're not a mow your lawn in January kind of neighborhood.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's funny. Well, sorry, bro. Good luck with that. Let us know what
Thanks.
you end up doing.
I'll let you know by the next time we record how it went because I will be out there by then, I'm sure. So, yeah, it's the worst.
I tell you what, I went, so as I had mentioned, went fishing today with the kids. It's their spring break. It was 40 degrees outside, whatever. Water's cold, muddy. I told them we weren't going to catch anything. But if we keep going out there, we'll be the first ones to catch something. That's the thing. It's gonna warm up. And I'm standing there on the bank, fishing for about like maybe a quarter as long as I normally would. And like parts of my body start aching. And because when you're bank fishing, like you're always standing with your toes downhill. And I'm out of shape for doing that. Like I was starting to hurt in places. Like my back was giving me problems and whatnot. And I was like, oh, I need to get into fishing shape. I don't know what shape that is. I think I've already have the geometry down, but golly.
Also, it's good you were honest with your kids, about catching stuff. You wouldn't want them to have hope.
I don't. No,
not with fishing.
No, fishing is not a hopeful sport.
No, and you know what? That immediately reminded me of the Marc Rebier concert. We were in the second row of people. In the first row, they were nicely standing on this sort of like piece of metal on the floor. And then us in the second row, we were standing on the part of the metal that ramped down. And so my feet were pointed up for 11 billion hours that we were there.
Right.
Great concert. Legs were killing me by the end.
I'm not in standing shape or fishing shape.
I'm not into using my ear holes, not using my leg shape. I wasn't ready for that.
It doesn't hurt this much when I have my headphones on sitting on the couch.
Oh man.
But anyway.
No bites, huh?
Actually, yes. I got one bite.
Nice.
But didn't reel anything in.
I was fascinated. We'll share the photo maybe on our From the Middle for the Middlers social media page on Facebook. It's a group, actually, and there's a lot of fun chatter in there. We share things like what's going on in geek culture. Some of the topics this week were the Power Rangers movie that's coming out, 30 years in the making, featuring some of the original cast. We also talked about I thought it was really cool in the latest episode of The Mandalorian. Some pretty cool things happened that redeemed one of the universe's least favorite actors and characters. So that was fun. So we share things like that and have good times. So good. People share their toy collections and what's going on in the world. Anyway, we could share your photo. You have these socks sheath things around your fishing poles that I'd never seen before.
Yeah. The rod socks.
Rod socks.
Yeah. They're not, I guess they're not super common, but in the fishing world they are.
Never seen those.
They're really cool, and especially so. I suppose they are protecting eyelets and they're protecting the rod itself and that kind of thing. And probably most guys who have really good gear, that's important to them.
Yeah.
What's important to me is carrying 5 fishing rods at one time. And if you know anything about that, they always get tangled up together. And putting those rod socks on keeps that from happening.
Game changer.
It is totally a game changer having those on there. So, yeah, I use the rod socks every time we pack up the rods.
I had seen the hook ease, EZE, hook ease, which puts your hook in a little plastic casing, and then there's a swivel, and then you just hook that to one of the eyelets or back to the reel. And I had seen those. That essentially does the same thing, except that your eyelets are still exposed and rods can go in and through the string still, especially if you've got a lure that has the tri-hooks.
Hooks.
Yeah, dangling from them. You're never going to cover those up. I used to use painter's tape and just tape completely around the lure because that's what I would do when I take the kids. I've got 5 rods between the 4 of us.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I'm going to have to invest in some rod sheaths.
Yeah.
Rod socks.
I am still just putting the hook around an eyelet like a Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Instead of having an easy.
And it's like a woven elastic-y.
Yeah. Which that causes its own problem because sometimes the hook gets caught inside of the sock. And so if I had those easy hook things, the hookies, that would keep that from happening.
There's a free plug for hookies. If you want to sponsor us, we've got 2 fishermen on the show that would love to promote your stuff.
Anglers is a less sexist term to use.
Oh, sorry.
Come on, man.
Anglers.
Yeah.
Anglers.
And you could get plugs like this for your brand at least once every 60 episodes. So
yep.
If there's one product right now, your favorite product right now, not of all time, just right now that you would love to sponsor the show, what would that be?
How far are we thinking? Like, we're an affiliate and we have to actually be able to sell their stuff?
Nah, they send us the occasional $100-ish worth of product a month, and we talk about them constantly.
Okay. I'm gonna probably up that $100 a month thing and say Tecovas Cowboy Boot Company.
Yeah?
Have them send us free boots. That'd be fun. That's what I would go with right now.
I feel like it would be kind of a toss-up between Lego feels like the obvious.
Well, they don't need any.
But I also, the part of me thinks like Disney or Disney Plus, because the amount of merch that could fall under that brand-wise, and like they could throw like, here's a free year of streaming app, and then here's some National Geographic magazines, and then here's, some Star Wars stuff that's coming out. That feels like it could be a good, and a lot of that would fall within our wheelhouse.
I'm going to go with Wisps. Those little travel toothbrushes that have like a little bit of, it's a little plastic stick with a toothpick on one end. And then inside the bristles is a little capsule that's like the flavor of those, remember those things you used to put on your tongue that were like paper thin?
The Listerine strips.
Yeah, it's like a Listerine strip, but in a little ball capsule thing in the bristles.
Yeah.
So as instead of toothpaste, you just get like a burst of like a mouth cleansing Listerine type thing, and you brush your teeth with it when you're on the road.
There you go.
Like after a dinner or...
What's wrong with you?
That is... You could have said Lamborghini.
Or Liquid Death, because this Rest in Peach new flavored tea is amazing. This feels like a good spot to take a break and hear some from some friends on Pot Me. Bye.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus meth gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
Man, that took us a long time to get to a break, didn't it?
How long was that?
According to my clock here, we're like 40 minutes in already. Yeah. People are like, are they ever going to let me pee?
I love to make people regret listening to this show.
My favorite thing to do. Sometimes we bring up topics on this podcast to entertain and be silly, and sometimes we talk about like social etiquette things, and that's always a good time. And I think sometimes it's fun for us to share stories for posterity, because it will be fun for each of us to be able to go back and remember some of the things that we talked about, fishing with our kids, or the time that your wife got up in the middle of a child's soccer game and started coaching and refereeing at the same time. Those are fun things to go back and remember.
We're cataloging our lives.
We're cataloging our lives
for ourselves as much as we're doing it for anyone else.
And so it felt important for me to share this fun little story about what happened this past weekend, because it's meaningful to me personally, but it also made for some interesting adventures. So in our little town that Dylan and I grew up in the little church that we were a part of growing up, the pastor at the time was a guy named Robert Brown, Pastor Bob, we called him. And he had an 80th birthday party this past weekend. And I saw the invite late in the week last week. Dylan and I's mom had sent it to us via text. And it was sort of like open house, anybody that can come. And it was going to be like a This Is Your Life sort of party for him. People from different churches that he's pastored at, and people in his family, and then anyone that wanted to show up. And so the other thing that they said on the invite was, if you have a favorite photo of you and Pastor Bob, bring it to the thing. Well, so selfishly, this spring for Sherry and I is crazy. We mentioned it last time. Each of our kids are in a new activity in sport, and I don't like the term busy, but it's just the reality of spring for us. For the first time ever, having 3 kids and 3 different things, it's a little nutty. And this was going to be like the only open Saturday for like 2 months. So there was a part of me that was like, ugh. But then I was like, I have to go. It's 90 minutes away, but it's totally worth going because I want to support him and go. And so I happened to be texting our friend Greg, who's been on the show before, who's not originally from up in that area. He's from down south in Portsmouth, Ohio. But I said, it had been a while since he and I had caught up. And so I was like, hey, man, I'm going to this thing. Like, if you want to hop in the car with me, we could just catch up on the way to and fro, and I'll buy you a Kewpie, which is like arguably the best burger place
Speaking of sponsors,
in the world, right? And so he had Kewpie before, and so he said, let's do it. So Greg and I hopped in the car on Saturday afternoon and drove up for this thing. And just all of that to really say, it was just so cool. You know, going to that church, the church that my Dylan and I's grandparents and our parents went to, and that we sort of grew up going to, and seeing familiar faces of these people that, like, you grew up in this little tiny, this is not a big mega church. This is like a tiny little church. And then to see Pastor Bob and his family, like, the photos that I ended up taking up there were printouts of photos of him baptizing me and him baptizing Dylan separately, a couple years apart. And I printed those out and gave them to him. And I said, you were like at the center of every spiritual decision I made as a young kid, and a part of that strong foundation that I have. And so thank you for that. And, you know, he was very touched to hear that. And it reminded me, and I told him this too. I said, you know, once a handful of years ago, we happened to be at some event where Pastor Bob was there, and we hadn't seen him in a really long time. And so we asked him to lunch afterwards. And so we had this opportunity to catch up with him. And I was in a phase of like being big on the idea of mentorship and asking big questions of people who were in life where I wanted to be, whether that be in their career or in their spiritual life or whatever. And so I'm like, I'm going to use this opportunity to like ask him a really big, meaty question. And so I said, okay, Pastor Bob, in all your years of pastoring and being there for people in difficult times and everything you've seen, all the books you've read, what is the most profound thing you've learned about God or in your spiritual life, or thing you've heard or whatever? And he sat for a moment and he goes, Jesus loves me, this I know. And I was like, what? The most basic thing you learn in Sunday school as a kid, the song Jesus Loves Me, was the most profound and beautiful thing he had learned in all his years of ministry. And that's exactly the type of guy that he is. And he was one of the first people to like, I don't know, show me an example of like a non-stuffy, non-Ned Flanders fun. He'd always put you in a headlock and give you a noogie on your way, and like just like a cool, big teddy bear kind of guy. And so I think I say all that to say happy birthday, Pastor Bob, but also just how special it is sometimes. And if you can, and you have those relationships still, going back to those places and spaces in your life where you have those relationships, and it's good to see those people for you, but it's good for those people to see you and to catch up. And I don't know, that just felt really meaningful, and it felt like it was really cool to share in this episode as we, you know, get silly from time to time and try chips and drink horrific soda.
I just looked at it and shuddered again.
It just felt like a cool thing. And then the time with Greg in the car was really good, to just have a good friend to talk about life and things that are challenging and things that you're celebrating, and then to, of course, share a Kewpie burger together. And he still cannot get over the fact that place's mascot is a naked baby. But yeah, it was a good time.
There's a Kewpie mayonnaise. Have you guys heard of Kewpie mayonnaise?
No.
It's a Japanese mayonnaise. It's the mayonnaise that they typically put on like sushi. Like
okay,
that kind of mayonnaise. And it's relatively popular. Their logo also a naked baby.
Really?
So
is it spelled
Kewpie?
P. This one's Pee. But yeah. So the Kewpie.
Pie. I don't know.
So if you're listening and wondering what the heck we're talking about, so we actually learned about the Kewpie baby in illustration class at art school. So
interesting.
It was developed in this could be totally wrong. I'll fact check myself later. We'll bring back fact check. like the Gibson Girl, if you Google Gibson Girl, the Gibson Girl was like a turn of the century to 1920s portrait of a woman that became so popular. It was an illustration from the artist, forget his first name, whatever, Gibson.
Cupid.
It became, Cupid Gibson. It became so popular that people wanted it on wallpaper and on dishes and on place settings and things like that. So it was the first time that really illustration had, in a mass production sense, infiltrated culture. The Cupid baby, similarly, was this stylistic baby that made its way onto early 20th century decor and stuff. And so I don't know the story, but behind why the family that started the restaurant chain chose that, other than the Cupid baby is like a thing, a cultural thing in the States.
It's one hip baby.
So yeah, Cupid, legend has it that Dave Thomas was such a fan of the chain. There was only a few. There's 3 in Lima currently, and I believe there's still 1 in Michigan where the family had connections.
It's Wisconsin.
Is it Wisconsin? I could be.
At some point there was over 200 of them.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
So
and they're down to 3 in Lima.
3
and I
in
think
Lima
1 in
and
Wisconsin.
1 left. And Dave Thomas liked the square patties, the malts, the frosted malts so much that's what prompted him to go into the business. Some say, he took that IP in quotes and started Wendy's from that. Perhaps as simple as he was like, I could do this. Sure. And so Cupid, Lima, Ohio, got myself a mug. So now I got a Cupid mug to drink out of. And it says your grandpappy ate here, which is true on both sides of my family. So that's fun.
And I would say that if you're ever driving, very few people have a destination that is Lima, Ohio. But if you're ever driving I-75 past Lima for any reason, it's half a mile off the 75 exit.
Yeah.
So it's worth...
Do yourself a favor.
Yeah, just if you're hungry, make that your stop and go there. It's just a much better Wendy's that also has fresh pie. And so you can get, they have a pie of the month. And then there's also, you can always get a variety of pies, but then there's their highlighted pie. My favorite being February.
March is Mar chocolate.
Do they use wild cherries?
Probably.
That's a great question.
Probably.
Okay.
So you can always get fresh made pies. And my wife especially likes the froyo, like the peach and the raspberry
and they also have the chili and the frosted malts to dip your fries in, and the square patties and the whole thing.
Yeah, you go to Wendy's and Wendy's would be watery much faster. And sometimes Wendy's will have that a little bit of a grainy texture in the ice. You can kind of see it as it melts. This is super smooth. There is no icy grainy texture to this Frosty. It's much more dense. It takes a lot longer to melt. So you're not, you could eventually drink a Wendy's Frosty. You're probably never getting there with a QP Frosty. It's much thicker. So it's like eating really nice soft serve ice cream. It's delicious.
Now I want to go back, and I was just there.
I'm intrigued.
So it was good. Greg appreciated the QP, and it was just a good time. So that felt special and noteworthy and worth sharing with y'all. And a little insight to the foundation of Dylan and Corey Hubble. So
yeah,
fun times.
I didn't go because I had family come in from out of town. So
you
sorry.
You didn't need a reason.
Sorry, Pastor.
Okay.
Well, if this is going to get memorialized for all time.
Why wasn't Dylan there?
Yeah,
I was wondering.
Yeah, Corey had a lovely story. Heartless Dylan didn't want to share.
No, here's what's funny. So Pastor Bob used to confuse Dylan and I.
Okay.
I was there.
So he was there. So even though I had jet black hair and glasses as a kid, and at the time Dylan had like curly red hair and no glasses, he would just say the one but mean the other.
Yeah.
All the time on Sundays. And so and he's 80 now. So you were there.
Great.
As far as he knows.
Corey, why don't you have a good story?
I didn't show up.
Yeah, why don't you have a good story about Pastor Bob?
Yeah.
Good old Pastor
You were too
Bob.
busy eating burgers. You were even in the area.
That's a perfectly good reason. Which I think QP is closed on Sundays now.
I didn't
or
know
Monday.
That.
I think it's Sunday. So beware. Traveler beware.
What are y'all watching? What's on your stream boxes?
Stream boxes.
So we talked about not long ago. We did the Discovery Plus, like of 3 months
Yeah.
for however few dollars.
Hated it.
Yeah, terrible. Well, Stars finally got me with 3 months for $3 a month, so $9 for 3 months. I'm like, all right.
Surely you can find something for
Surely.
$9 in 3 months.
I will say we did find something, but not much. So Stars is not great.
No stars.
Don't do it without a trial. But the main thing that we wanted to watch, and I talked about this years ago on the podcast, and we've been slowly watching through it as it appears on Netflix, is the show Outlander. Not for the faint of heart. So do not watch that show if violence and
Gore.
and I don't want to. If you're not into, if you can't get past rapey events, I don't know how else to say it. There's some of that in there too, as you might expect from a historical drama that's history but not history at all, because there's a lot of fiction mixed in.
Okay.
So
There's never been a harder pivot. There's
Ouch.
never been a harder pivot.
there's not. I don't know what to say. You asked what we're watching. That's one of the. So
Just
anyway,
say graphic content.
graphic content. You can edit that if you want. So graphic events.
I mean, I'm not going to.
Okay, so Jesus loves me. This I know. Anyways, so
Yes, rapey events bother people. That
yeah,
is-
most normal people, and it's in the show, and you should skip it. Anyways,
I don't think you're supposed to like it in the show.
No,
I
you're
think
not. But
I
my
think
point
you're
is-
supposed to. Are you saying that it didn't bother you, Dylan?
no, it did bother me. That's what I'm
Good.
saying, but
It
not
should
enough.
have.
But the quality of the show has outweighed the graphic events. Anyways, so we've been trying to catch up on Outlander. Also, because it's the same network, the main guy from Outlander, Sam Hugan, or Hangin, or I don't know how you say it, it's Scottish, and another actor from the show did this sort of tour around Scotland. It's like Men in Kilts or something. It's the name of this kind of quick travel. It's them showing off Scotland in a few episodes.
Okay.
We knew we wanted to watch that. I got on there. Venom and Venom 2 were on there. I'll try to watch those because I haven't seen those yet, and I wasn't going to go out of my way for them. And then as I was stumbling through the pretty pitiful catalog, I saw A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which was
Oh, yes.
Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers, and I'm a big Mr. Rogers fan. And I watched it last night, and that was far more drama for a movie with Mr. Rogers than I was expecting. Like, I was expecting no drama. I was expecting like a nice, almost docuseries where Tom Hanks is playing, and his stuff is all nice. But the main premise of the movie is it's like 1998. There's this guy that works for Esquire that has a habit of like hard-hitting journalism and like prominent interviewing like prominent figures, not fluff pieces.
Right.
And he gets assigned to interview Mr. Rogers for this, like, you know, heroes, American heroes thing. It's supposed to be this like 400 word thing that he's writing, this kind of fluff piece, which turns into something bigger than that as he continues to interact with Mr. Rogers well past what he needs to write his piece. And I'll leave it at that. But he has a very dramatic life. And so you're seeing him interact with Mr. Rogers, who is learning about his interviewer.
Okay.
And so very good. Just know what you're getting into if you're into something like that. It far more serious and far less lighthearted. But honestly, I feel like if you get the right person in the right situation who's like kind of seeking as an adult, kind of like seeking for answers in their life and thinking back a lot on their past and their family life growing up and their relationships, you hit somebody at the right time with that movie, and that's going to mess somebody up in a good way. It's really, really good. Tom Hanks did a very good job as Mr. Rogers. I enjoyed it a lot. So there was at least one thing I found on there that I enjoyed. And if you got Stars or want to do a trial, go ahead and check it out. We probably won't need 3 months. We'll probably just need the one.
I saw it. I agree. Very good. More dramatic than I thought. But to your earlier point, when all these streaming services came out, I remember people going, well, what? How are we supposed to be able to, our cable bills already, and they expect us to pay for all these? No, they don't. They don't expect you to pay for all of them.
Well, they do, but
Each individual one kind of like really wants you to have theirs.
But this is the cream rises to the top. This is the thing that we wanted to actually have happen so that they would sort of like eliminate the lesser ones that were trying to start their own, and that the good content would stay on the bigger ones. And then so this is the thing that we actually needed to happen so that because there's these, you're not able to watch certain things if you don't commit to one of them. So we need them to sort of shuffle around and like land in a couple big ones. Usually there's room for 3 big players. There's still more than that, but this is kind of what we want to have happen.
Yeah,
right?
And consolidation has already started happening. Some have already come and gone. One of the most notable that came and went that was actually its own platform was CNN. I think the CNN Plus app made it about 90 days.
Yeah.
HBO has already started to merge with Discovery Plus, and had already merged with others. I think some stuff had already merged with Discovery Plus. Some stuff had already merged with HBO. Now I think those are merging. I think a lot of the Discovery Plus back catalog is going to go on HBO. So I can't see Showtime standing on its own. And Sony never had its own app, so a lot of the Sony stuff is getting pushed to Stars. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually somebody like Apple just went in for Apple TV Plus and like bought Sony Studios to just pull in their library.
Sure.
Or merged with Showtime, or probably not Apple and Showtime because that content doesn't mix. But
Right.
you get the idea. I think we'll merge. Disney certainly feels like they can keep their own. There's enough content there, and then a few others. But it'll be interesting to see who goes down next.
Speaking of Apple TV Plus, I got Sherry totally hooked on Ted Lasso.
Yeah,
She hadn't tried, and she wasn't sure if she could get past the language, because Roy Kent throws a lot of F-bombs in there. But she had a colleague at the Christian nonprofit she works at recommend it to her and say like, hey, if you can get past the language, it's well worth your time.
for sure.
And so she's binged 2 seasons. I sat right next to her and binged it again, which is a wonderful lead up to season 3 that's out right now. And Ted Lasso needs no more promotion. I mean, that show's already
won a bunch of Emmys.
We've talked about it a ton. People know how great it is. If you don't by now, do yourself a favor and catch up over spring break if you still got time. But yeah, season 3 now has 2 episodes in it, and the episode 3 comes out soon. So get caught up. Man, it's just so good. I said multiple times rewatching it, I love Ted. I love this show. This is probably one of my favorite shows of all time, in the top 5 of my favorite shows of all time. And I just forgot how much I liked certain characters, like even May at the pub that they always go to. She's such a great. There's so many fun characters in that show, and I'm excited to see where the show goes, because some interesting things happen at the end of season 2 that will be fun to see played out. And then people have been telling me for years, back on the spiritual tip, people have been telling me for years to check out The Chosen. Yeah. We've talked for a long time about how a lot of Christian content, quite frankly, stinks. The production quality is subpar. The acting, a lot of times, is very bad. But people are like, give The Chosen a chance. Like, just check it out. And wow, first episode brought to tears at the end.
Wow.
Like, from the first episode, I was crying. Just really, really well done. We're watching as a family. We're like 3 episodes in. And they say that they've made every effort to be as close to biblical stuff as possible. And they say where they do take liberties, it is done in an effort to support the biblical narrative. So, man, just...
Where can people find that?
Right now, season 1 is available on Netflix. I think 3 seasons are out, so I'm not sure if Netflix is going to add more or where you find season 2 and 3. I think Pureflix, like sort of some of the obscure streamers have it. And I think Prime Video has it, but right now season 1 is on Netflix. The cool thing about the show is I know a lot of people who've gone to be extras on the show because it's backed by supporters. It's like, the Kickstarter that they're doing for nuns with nunchucks. Like if you pledge up to a certain amount, you get to be an extra in the show. Cool. And they'll throw you in a robe and put you in the background somewhere, which is kind of fun.
Nice.
So give it a chance. Again, for years, people have been telling us, you guys got to give it a try. It's really, I think, really, really good.
Yeah, and to your point with Ted Lasso, so we're going to use Stars for a month or two, we're intentionally waiting for Ted Lasso to finish. Yeah. And then we're going to sign up for like a month or two of Apple TV Plus and jump back in and watch Ted Lasso. I want to see that documentary you mentioned about Pez. The new show Shrinking with Jason Segel and Harrison Ford seems to be doing really well so far. Just a couple episodes in and some other content. So, I'm going to do that. And if you are into Apple, if there is one that you want to keep for a while too, I've noticed Costco has sold like 6 months or 12 months worth of Apple TV Plus at a discount. So instead of paying $7, you're paying like $5.20 something. So you can always check. People might have gift cards like that and save month over month. But yeah, I'm excited for Ted Lasso to finish so I can go in and binge it.
Yeah, I'm doing that with Ted Lasso and Mandalorian, which are both things that I'll watch with my wife. So
yeah,
that's cool.
So good.
So it's been a while since I've shared what I've watched. So I have a little bit of a backlog. First on Apple TV Plus, I finished C, the final season of C with Jason Momoa, which was really good. That is such a great series with Jason Momoa, and the premise sounds kind of hokey, but it gets there. It gets there, and
that's its final season. You said?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay,
it's done.
Three and done.
3, 4, maybe
4 and done.
I don't remember exactly. But yeah, no, it's over, and it's a situation where they knew that they were finishing.
Yeah,
and so you got to see the story come to a close.
Yeah,
and it did, and it came to a very dramatic close, and it was good. Felt satisfied when it was over.
Yeah,
enjoyed that. I watched Queen's Gambit.
Oh yeah,
as well for the first time. Have you guys seen Queen's Gambit?
Yep.
Yeah. I think have you guys talked about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you probably
I think we were both kind of watching it as it was happening, sort of water cooler.
What'd you think of that?
I like it. I do enjoy chess.
Yeah.
I like to play chess. My kids play chess.
Yeah.
With me, and they're for their age, I feel like they're relatively impressive. I feel like most kids their age, if they know what the pieces mean, that's all they know, and what they can do. But so it kind of like rekindled my desire to like always want to play chess with somebody.
Yeah. So that came out during the pandemic.
Oh, did it?
And chess sets, you couldn't find them.
Oh, really?
And they were flying off the Amazon shelves too, because that show, everybody was binging that show during the pandemic and taking up chess and sourdough bread baking, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, chess is a fun game.
Yeah.
I watched that, which was a very good, very well dramatically told story.
Yeah.
Of a chess player, like something this would fit better, I think, in the episode. What was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, where I kind of made the joke that we talked about a lot of mundane things.
Yeah.
They made a movie about chess,
or
a limited series about chess that was good.
Yeah, that people were hanging on every word and cliffhanger.
Yeah. So that. And I watched Between Two Ferns, the movie.
I didn't know there was a movie. How did I not know this?
It's a movie.
It's one of the greatest is it a web series? Would you consider it a web series?
Yeah.
Between Two Ferns?
It's a Funny or Die series.
Yeah. Zach
Galifianakis Between Two Ferns, a false talk show. And then the movie is a mockumentary behind the scenes
kind
of story
this.
that they create a particular story. So it's not just really like a day in the life on set of 22 Ferns. It's more along the lines of like evil Will Ferrell is. And they've got to go on this whole big trek journey thing. The crew. But it's
Gotta watch that.
it's what you would expect it to be. I feel like you have to be a Zach Galifianakis fan
Check.
in order to watch it and be tickled by it. It's a very short little film with just a bunch of dumb little Zach Galifianakis style of humor.
Anything he does, I'm there for.
Yeah.
From his specials to then he blew up, with Hangover, I think probably. But then anything he does, I want to consume.
I always enjoy seeing like reels of Between Two Ferns. Most recently, he's talking to Brie Larson, and he said something to the effect of, so after winning your most recent, Best Actress award at the Oscars, have you ever considered setting your bar higher and trying to get Best Actor?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like you just catch these little.
He has ways of telling jokes, saying things in a way that he's not all that offensive. Even the jokes that are supposed to be offensive, just aren't because they came from his mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's funny.
I think he asked Paul Rudd, how have you been so successful at hiding your Jewishness in Hollywood?
Do you have any advice for any other young Jewish actors about hiding their Jewishness?
This is so great.
He asked Hillary Clinton, when you win this election, you're going to be the first girl president to a lot of young girls out there. But to an even younger generation, you'll be the first white president.
So good.
He's hilarious.
So good. And with this deadpan delivery that is so good.
I know. The
How
blooper
he
reel
does
for
it.
that show has to be a mile long.
Yeah.
Of just all these actors trying not to laugh.
Try
at his
not
questions.
to laugh. Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, man.
Well, that's fun. So some good things for you to check out. Just a little fun, real-time interaction. So right before we started recording, I thought it would be fun to do a little behind-the-scenes live stream. So I propped my phone up on the mini fridge over there, and I was talking about this Geordie Kiefer song, The Red Line, and you said Kiefer, and then I said Sutherland, like Donald's son, and then you said no, like the milk product. And Midler just texted me and said, "What? You've never had the champagne of dairy?" And sent me a picture of the blueberry flavor. So the champagne of dairy. Oh, thanks so much, Krista. Shout out to Krista, longtime listener, first time texter. That we've mentioned on the show. Thought that was awesome.
That's great.
Oh, anyway, feels like it's a good time to wrap up. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of From the Middle. I have been Corey. That's Kendall. That's Dylan. Do check out artiestman.com for amazing men's beard grooming products. It's locally made, all natural products. They also, in addition to the beard stuff, they've got body washes and shampoos and conditioners, soy blend Woodwick candles that are my favorite, a bunch of good flavors. I am wearing the beard butter right now. Great stuff. That's artiestman.com. I always stumble. ARTIUSMAN.com. Use promo code The Middle. That's all one word, The Middle at checkout to get 25% off your order. They ship, I think, anywhere, right?
I think so.
Yeah, good for them and good for you. You should
Within
check it
reason.
out. Yeah, within reason. Where do you live?
Within the area that they ship.
Yeah. So on your, fill your cart with all kind of good stuff. Use promo code The Middle at checkout to get 25% off. That'll help them. That'll help you because you'll get great stuff. And we get a little tiny schmeeny kickback. If you would like to support this show in a different way, we don't have a Patreon. We don't have a paywall, but we do have a tip jar. Mm-hmm. And we sometimes mention it. We don't bash you over the head with it. But if you want to throw us a few bucks, buy us a round of coffee, we would really appreciate that. We've been belting out mediocre content for about 3 years now. So it's time that you throw a little something our way, I think.
That's all you've paid for.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say mediocre content. You should be following us on all of our social media channels. If you do that, you'll know that as of the day that this episode released, we just released one of our bonus YouTube only exclusive tangents videos. We have 4 different tangents episodes that we've done in the last year or so on YouTube. And our most recent, we sit down with our buddy Jordan McLaughlin from episode 181, CEO and founder of Rookie Mage Games. And we talk a little bit about his newest project, Nuns with Nunchucks. It's going to be a great tabletop card game for probably the teenagers and up. And that's on Kickstarter. So again, if you're listening to this episode within the month that it has been released, definitely go check out that episode. For us, it wasn't a long tangent. I think it was only about 20 to 25 minutes. So go check that out. It was a fun episode. It was great chatting with Jordan again. We were glad to have him back.
He's a great guy. I was really
Great
bummed
guy.
I had to miss that episode for a work thing. But I think you said that launched today. The Kickstarter kicked off today. And he's already like a third of the way.
Yeah, I think third of the way to his goal.
Third of the way to the goal.
If nothing else, just go check it out, share the video to show him some extra love. His first Kickstarter was already successful. I have no doubt this one will be as well, because his other game was a hit. And I think people are going to love this one too. So go follow us for those reasons. And then you'll also see other bonus content that we throw up on YouTube and things we're talking about on our social channels.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Auf Wiedersehen.